Hello everyone, I'm here with Dr Steven Barr of Hennik Edge to talk about some news from the Eurozone, which we always thought was not doing terribly well compared with the UK, but now data from the Eurozone is looking good, unemployment down. Here in the UK, factory growth is slowing to the point that sterling is now being affected because people are worried. Is the Brexit effect finally kicking in?
It's interesting, isn't it, how these figures come out? So yes, the Eurozone does seem to be doing rather well. I think by coincidence, in the UK, we've had a very slight reduction in expectations this month. And it is very slight, so we just need to be careful not to exaggerate or overplay that situation.
Inevitably, though, in this climate, people will try to do just that.
Yes.
And you can't run away from the fact that input costs are rising because of the inflation that's now creeping into the supply chain because of the reduction of value of sterling. And we've had the 11th rise in input costs in a row. I mean, it sounds like you're trying to be emollient on this, but it sounds to me rather disturbing.
Well, we talked previously about the balance between the Brexit bubble, which has allowed exporters to do rather better because the value of the pound makes it so, versus the input costs. Sooner or later, those two effects were bound to get closer together, and I think we're now at that tipping point where we could well see import costs dominate the competitiveness of our manufacturers.
Again, though, the inflation is hitting the high street, wage growth is very weak. It means that consumers are not spending, and so those manufacturers whose livelihood depends on ultimately on consumer demand, they're going to be looking at that, and that is still going to be of concern, no matter what you say about the fact that this is just a little bit of balancing out.
Yes, and that's the nature of the economy, isn't it? That there need to be buyers who can afford the produce as well as the producers of that. So yes, I think we have seen a softening of UK demand for some time.
On top of this is strange. Some companies are reporting that their supply chains are struggling. They're facing longer waits for their goods to be delivered. What's going on with that?
Well, I'm not sure that that's a Brexit effect. I think that's a world economy effect where, we know, for example, that a lot of UK manufacturers get certain key components made in China, made in other countries overseas. There may be issues going on with those supply chains at the moment. It's very difficult to see how that is affected directly by Brexit. I think in the future, though, that could be very interesting. We've talked previously about the UK car industry and how that's dependent on cross-channel transfer of components, sometimes many times. I think we're yet to see effects on that actually flowing through, but perhaps it's a warning of things to come.
Well, all in all, it argues for urgent investment or consideration of investment among manufacturers in the connected smart supply chain.
Yes, and in fact, as you well know, because you're involved in it, the manufacturer is leading the charge, really, making sure that manufacturers are as well informed as they can be about the benefits of smart supply chain, smart factory, and smart consumer engagement as well. So those three parts being really important.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks, everyone.